Well, I'm Jerome Alford. I'm married to Linda Alford. That's one of the most important things that I can say. Second, I want to say hello to all the folks that make the 10:45 service, because I don't get a chance to see you very often since we make the 9 o'clock. I was raised in small Baptist churches. My father was the church treasurer, and those of you that may not have experienced this, the small churches would take up the collection after the music, and during the time that the Sunday school superintendent was giving his report, my daddy, being the treasurer, would go back and count the money that was collected and post it on the board that was in the front. And that gave everybody a chance, I guess, to look at that and figure out what percentage of what was given that they gave. But so many times, my early recollections of tithing and the offering was keyed to the fact that you need to tithe because the church needs the money. So in a lot of my early years, when I had a chance to help with the music and do some other things around the church, then I kind of grew up kind of feeling like that was an in-kind contribution. And to me, it didn't become important to tithe. And even after some 40 years ago, I moved to Crittenden County and got involved in a big Baptist church. Well, it was still pretty much the same thing, but at that point, it was also coupled with annually filling out a pledge card, so the church would have a pretty good idea of how much money that they would have that they could run the church business. Well, there again, I was involved in a lot of the special music and made a lot of extra meetings, so there again, that was kind of my in-kind contribution. Well, about probably 15, 16, maybe 17 years ago now, I got involved in Victory Church. Had a chance to sit under Pastor Michael's teachings. And then all of a sudden, it became much clearer what the tithe meant. It was not the money that he took to run the church. The tithing was an act of worship. It was that part that, and the Bible is pretty clear about the promises made. It also has a lot to do about being a cheerful giver. Well, after it became clear to me what the tithe was actually about, then I started just carefully tithing. Not to brag, but all of a sudden, you didn't miss the money. God replaced whatever it was that I gave. And it was easy then to become a cheerful giver. Now, that doesn't go, I can't say that everything has been roses ever since then. I've been through some testing. There was being self-employed as an engineer. There have been a few years in the last 15 that income was kind of hard to come by. My employees made more than I did, and I guess I probably could have been on welfare a time or two there. But then, God continues to come through. I never did go hungry, never missed a house payment, and the whole family has been blessed. And, there's a lot of people that make more money than I do, but here I am at 73 years old, still working, still blessed with good health and the mental capacity to let me do what I do every day. So to all of that, I believe, is rolled into the blessings that God has given me in return for being faithful in my tithe. I think it's more along in that period of time when I realized that the tithe was important. And quite frankly, in all these years, those that have been to Victory for some time, there's not emphasis on the budget. There's not emphasis on how much money that we need. The emphasis simply on the tithing is a form of worship. So, as far as a particular time, no, not any clear evidence. Mostly, it has to do with understanding that I was supposed to, and then noticing that just, I know, for instance, when being self-employed, once in a while when you have a good year, you might be able to take a nice little bonus somewhere along the way. And then you turn around and whenever you tithe on that, I remember one particular instance when we'd had a pretty good year. And there had been anything said about Victory trying to start a church building of her own. And I managed to take a little bit of money out of the company, and Linda and I talked about it, about writing the tithe check on that amount. Why don't we stub this building fund? Just, so we agreed to do that. So we wrote building fund on the check. Now, at that time here at Victory, the collection was being taken up before the pastor preached. Pastor Michael got up here and he said, I really hope that I'm hearing from the Lord, but I kind of feel like, and I think the Lord is leading us toward having our own church. Well, Linda and I looked at each other because we had just put that check in the collection plate. It had gone to the back. Dewey was, and I'm sure if the pastor saw that after the service, that would have meant his confirmation that, maybe this is a sign that maybe we need to go ahead with the church service. And it was certainly something for Linda and me to see that there's some confirmation there, and that was God's hand in that. And that would have been one time, I guess, when I really got kind of excited about seeing things happen. And then since then, you just always kind of expect it whenever you can write that nice check and put it in the collection and wait to see what God's going to do with it. Because I'm firmly convinced that if it goes through this church, that it will be well spent.
So you feel blessed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every day. Not only a certain amount of financial gain, but again, blessings of health and mental capacity to be able to get out here and keep working, which I intend to do. I don't think the Bible says anything about retirement anyway.